G'day guys, Carl from Go Travel in the garage with the Patrol yet again. Today, the rear bar is finally here. So I didn't buy a tow bar with my Patrol, and this was the main reason because I was always going to put a rear bar on it. So we got the Raslarr Rear bar, so we'll get her unpacked, we'll get the car pulled apart, and we'll have a good look at it and we'll get it on. Might just grab some measurements and then that'll paint a picture of how, a few things. One, how much clearance we get and how much it drops the back of the car. So we're looking at 61 centimetres hubbed guards. So yeah, same thing, probably about 56, 57 in the corners. Hey, look at that bad boy. That's beautiful. I didn't realise I was going to have this chrome propeller plate on top. Might look at either pulling that off or just like rhino lining it. At this point, that's not a major concern for me though, because I've still kept the chrome on the big girl, so we'll deal with that a bit later. As you'd expect, it's solid for being a tow bar. Nice big thick supports going out to the wings. The wing material looks like probably about 3mm. The actual back section of the bumper is a bit thicker. That looks like probably about 5mm, something like that. Might be a little bit of a mission to get her on, but we'll have a go. To me, it looks like it'll take 3 bolts down the side, another couple of bolts in there, and then 4 bolts through this centre section. We'll get this back bumper pulled off, and then we'll have a look at how it sits. Yeah. Actually, that's bolstered in there too, so that's prepared to take a hit. Alright, so there's a couple of bolts that were hiding up under the quarter. So this, with a little bit of luck, should just all just unclip now. So, also there was a bolt hidden behind the tail light there. So then plastic covers, they just pop off, so they just pop off. Undo that bolt, now it should hopefully be all unbolted. So now I'll unclip this, unclip the parking sensors as we go through it, and hopefully it just comes straight off. We'll see. So under the headlight there, there's a couple of press studs that need to come out as well. As I unclip the bumper, I just pulled these reverse sensors out and unclipped them on the way around. One thing I did realise when it's the end is you do actually have this plug, so you can just pull the whole harness out, unplug it here, that'll be heaps easier. Looking at the bar and how it's going to sit, you got these couple of little extra supports, which will be for the bumper for if you get hit. So we'll undo all the bolts off them, get them out. These couple of little brackets hanging down, we'll take them out. And then the factory tie down point, we'll get rid of that as well. So we'll unbolt all that stuff. Then we should be right to run the harness in the bar and start trying to fit the bar. So looking at this piece of foam and looking at the way that bar is and the mounts, I think it will just fit in it, so I am going to leave it in there and we'll see how we go. Worst case, we have to pull the foam out. Learned since starting to play around with the big Nissan is all these parking sensors and all this tech stuff, you're better to actually put it in place and mock it up before you fit the bar, because it's obviously tight and hard to get in once you've done it. So Raslarr give you a couple of these parking sensor locators, so hopefully these just slot in and then the parking sensors will lock it into place. But we'll get all this mocked up back into play and we'll see how we go. Left these sensors in place anyway, the ones that tell you if there's a car behind you or beside you. Now, we'll lift that up onto the table and hopefully just slot her in. Alright, just lift her into position. That piece of foam had to go. We'll get her all bolted up and then we'll work out how to cut this bumper. Now, no different to a bull bar, all I'm going to do is all the bolts that have to go in it, just going to do them all finger tight, get them all in, and then we'll work out what needs to go where. Factory harness for the reverse sensors. We had to undo this very far driver's side one, so we'll just extend that one and then that'll get that back in place working. So there's enough slack, everything else fits other than this driver's side one, so that'll need to be stretched and relocated. Alright, we're good. So at the back of the receiver there's 4 bolts, hard to see but they're up in there. 3 bolts along each side, 2 bolts on the outsides of the wings, so we've got all them mocked into place. Now we're going to tighten them all up and we'll get this thing to sit, then we'll work out how to cut the bumper. That's the easy bit, all bolted up, ready to go. Now we'll have to tape and measure this back bit and work out where to cut her. I've just taped the rear bar, then I measured where I think it needs to go based off key points on the back of the car. What I'm going to do is I might cut this a little bit fat and then we can trim it up to fit. Bumper's cut, pinch welds on, it's all back in place how it should be. What I'm going to do, I'm going to drill a couple of holes in the back bar here and I'm going to mount my airbag lines in there. So, and I don't think that'll affect the swing away when I do eventually put swing aways on it, but I'll just put them as close to the bumper as I can out of the way, just close enough that I can still get the airline on them. So the mud flaps mould pretty reasonable to the bar. I just got a couple of tech screws and bolted them on. I know they're not going to last, so I will eventually change them out to something a bit more durable. So it turns out there were instructions as well. So I didn't actually read the instructions, and I thought I'd cut this mud flap to make it fit a bit better, but then I realised I could probably mould them. So don't cut the mud flaps, they do fit. This thing is unreal. Managed to get the spare tyre back up under it. Had to drop that down to 10 psi to jam it in there though. So as everyone with the tow bar on their big Nissans knows, getting to that big size tyre, they're just a little bit tight in there. That's come up good. Mount of the airbag valves up on the back. So plenty of room under these things. Nice and easy to work with. Solid. Wow. Solid's an understatement with this bar. It's unreal. Like, it is, the quality of it is amazing. The thing I am going to do is I'm actually going to cut that exhaust. So it hangs down a little bit, so we'll just give it a trim up with the angle grinder. There's been a couple of days too, that's why I've got a haircut. Me and my bogan engineering, I'm going to use a piece of cardboard, cut the hole out for the exhaust. I'll slide it through the cardboard, work out the angle it needs to be at, mark it up, and then we'll give it a cut. And my holy cardboard. Now I know what you're thinking, where did I learn my engineering skills? Don't worry about my dodgy marking. I've never cut anything straight in my life, so why start now? That's why they made flappy discs. Perfect. Alright, this is right. Righto, that's how much I cut off. It's probably almost 2 inches, I suppose. So as you can see, I've left it on a similar angle, and it still protrudes past the bar, because obviously you want the exhaust gas to go out and escape. But yeah, not bad. Well, not bad for me. Well, still sounds like a V8, so it doesn't affect it that much. I can't remember the exact measurements, but let's have a look at that. So we've now got 67 in the back corner. 60, I can't remember what we started at, but we're 60 now, so and that's, I've taken it for a quick lap on the beach and taken it for a drive, so that'll probably settle a little bit more, but that's where it sits now. It's definitely opened the back up, but I like it. I reckon it looks good. So all the tech stuff, so the blind spot monitoring, that all works. Tested that out on the highway yesterday, so that's 100% how it should be. Reverse sensors relocated, they all work. Now, to wire the lights, my assumption is that you can graft them into the factory tow bar harness. I'm also, while I'm in there, going to put my tow pro in. So I'll get that put in. So I've now got electric brakes again. This isn't normally like me, but I've decided that I'm going to outsource that. So I'm actually going to take to an auto lecky. So I'll strip all the false floor out, get that out. Then they can do the wiring for me. So they'll put the Nissan harness in, they'll put the tow pro in, and then they'll wire these lights so it all works. I did end up paying an auto lecky to do the lights for me in the bar. Also, harness for the tow bar, and I got them to install my tow pro as well. Put the tow pro in, just in this little spot here. Just made sense. Nice and easy, simple to get to. Auto lecky cost me a mozza, and at the time it seemed like the right decision to make. I made that decision at the start of the week before everything went into lockdown. Now I'm in lockdown, it's 800 bucks I'd spend differently, but anyway, it is what it is. So knowing what I know now, I would have wired this all myself. It's not hard, it's just tedious and time consuming, as the auto lecky billed me for. Actually, that's one thing I'll show you too. That's obviously the bottom of the tow bar. Plug sits there nicely, out of the way. Brake controller is wired in now as well, so head units up the front. Reverse lights on their own circuit. So everything's done nice and neat. They actually put voice connecting plugs on everything as well, so which that's something I would have done. I would have just spliced it all into the tow bar harness. So look, they've done a better job than what I would have done. But like I say, it's not hard stuff. It's just there's a lot of it and it's tedious. Now, to address the elephant in the room, why have I got a rear bar with no swingaways? I don't have the space in the garage to physically fit it in with a swingaway, so that's why I decided to go with no swingaways, because I knew if I got a swingaway, I'd put it on, then I'd park it in the street, and it'd just turn to crap. So the main reason I got a rear bar is just the protection. So for you guys that have been following me for a long time, you'll know that the back bumper on the old Fortuner, I used to rip that off every time I went and did hectic four-wheel driving, every time I did stupid things. Big Nissan would have been no different, right? So the bumper hangs down low and it just gets close to things. The other reason as well is I didn't buy a tow bar for this car. So I intentionally didn't buy a tow bar so that I'd buy this rear bar because it's got your 3.5 ton rated tow bar in it. So if you look at $2,200 for a tow bar and then a protective rear bar that you know can take a hit, and like this thing's bloody solid. It's unreal how solid this is. For me, it was a no-brainer. Either way, you're going to spend $1,000+ on the tow bar. This way, you know the back of your car is going to be safe. Weight-wise, I think it was about 66 kilos, something around there with no swing-aways. I'm pretty sure that's what the freight delivery said, but it was bloody heavy. So, yes, they are heavy. The reason they're heavy? Anyway, that's the Raslarr bar installed on the big Nissan, so let me know what you think. Like always, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions, so feel free to comment below. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe, and until next time, guys, go travel.